Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode and to all episodes, I'm sure. Now, I wanted to kind of come on here a little bit and talk about what you're about to hear. There's a lot of discussions about the Pulse Nightclub shooting that occurred back here in Orlando, June 12th, 2016. Now, there's a lot of raw and heavy conversation, so I did not edit with a fine-tooth comb as I usually do. So I wanted to keep the conversation raw and real. So there are some spots with dead air to compose ourselves emotionally. You're not going to hear me pull out a lot of the ums that I normally do because I just wanted this episode to publish as it was recorded. There is a little bit of editing, of course, but I really wanted it to be this real conversation that we had. This does involve trigger warnings for anybody who lived here in Orlando, was close to any victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting, was there that night, has been involved in any mass shootings. We don't go into extreme detail, but there are trigger warnings, so I wanted to keep that, just point that out. So enjoy this episode. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to me. And stay tuned in the last segment for our tribute to the Pulse victims. Thank you for listening to the No New Friends podcast, After Dark Edition.
NNF After Dark is brought to you by Sandpiper Vacations. For all of your vacation planning needs, visit www.sandpipervacations.com. Tell them that the No New Friends podcast sent you.
Welcome to NNF After Dark. Chris is going to take you through the highlights of the previous episode and maybe even say some bad words, plus celebrity interviews and much, much more. And now, here he is, the scumbag reselling hoarder himself, Chris Yob.
Welcome to episode 159 of the No New Friends podcast, After Dark Edition. I say after dark, it's been dark all day here in New Jersey because we've had these Canadian fires all day, and it's the smoke is just totally submerged the sun. It's been dark. I think I've developed some sort of lung disorder. Scott still made me come and record tonight. I've taken 16 puffs of my inhaler tonight. And
that's all right. I made Nick come another way.
The voice that you're hearing laughing and telling insensitive jokes are Scott from the No New Friends podcast, which is what we're on right now. So you should know who that is. And Nick from the No New Friends podcast, who you should also know. So if you don't know, then please just rewind. Just go back. Listen to old episodes. You'll thank me later. Tonight we have some super deep topics, interesting topics, and topics that I'm cautiously excited to learn about because I don't know a lot about this topic. So we're about to learn. And so I'm going to kick it over to Scott and Nick for most of this episode. I do want to remind everybody that this No New Friends After Dark special episode is brought to you by Sandpiper Vacations. For all your traveling needs, reach out. Just do it. Just reach out to Nick at sandpipervacations.com. Tell him the No New Friends podcast sent you. Nick's the best, and don't take it from me. Learn it from him. He's the greatest. I have never realized how unprepared I was for vacation until I booked through Sandpiper Vacations. Because now I realize how much I was missing out on. Oh, my email all the time on stuff that I would have never known about if I didn't book through them. So please reach out to him. I've reached out to him. My sister's reached out to him. My neighbors has reached out to him. I have reached around him. Please just listen, these relationships get way closer than you'd ever imagine. So go to sandpipervacations.com for your next vacation. Now,
also,
tonight,
some more business before we get to the other stuff.
Oh, please. This is very important.
This is very important. Very exciting. Please vote for us for Orlando Weekly's Best of Orlando competition under the category Local Notables Best Local Podcast. That is right. We are officially a finalist. So please vote for us, Orlando Weekly. It's vote.orlandoweekly.com. Local Notables, Best Local Podcast. We really, really, really want to be in the top 3. We'd love to win it, and we need your help. We need your help by voting and by sharing the message and have as many people vote for us as possible. We've got a huge hill to climb to beat it's like a 17-year in a row winner. So we'd really love to dethrone them. It would mean the world to us. So please help us out with that.
Now, what would mean the world to me at the No New Friends podcast and all of us and all our patrons is to please vote for Scott Maffei. For Scott, can you please remind us of the category and I will explain?
Oh, I closed it. Actually, it's Best Local Radio Voice.
Scott Maffei, without even advertising, was nominated for Best Radio Voice. Correct?
Best Local Radio Voice, yeah.
Best Local Radio Voice. I'm not gonna let Scott brag because he won't. Because listen, we joke about it, but Scott is a humble person. Scott won't brag about this. I'm gonna brag about it for him. The names that he is amongst in this category are in the likes of local legends. The fact that Scott was even nominated is it just makes me so proud that his name is on there. Just the fact that he has been his dream his whole life was to be on radio. He starts this podcast, the No New Friends podcast. He's on real radio occasionally in the past, and now he's nominated for this category. Super, super proud of him. I want to congratulate him on behalf of everybody here at the No New Friends podcast for this amazing feat. Because listen, you don't even have to win, man. This is an amazing feat to be just within these local legends that you've been listening to for years and years and years. So love you, man. I'm so happy to see your name.
Thank you
next
so
to
much,
these guys.
It means a lot. It means a lot, and I'm really excited. I was not expecting it, but it's amazing. Thank you.
And I was really before we went live, Scott was going through all the categories, and he read his name on there. And it was just the coolest thing to be. I thought he was joking, because we didn't have it. Listen to all our episodes. We did not advertise this. We did not push this. So the fact he was nominated was not just a surprise, but like a really, really cool surprise.
Yeah.
So please vote Scott Maffei on that category. And yes, like Scott said, vote for us, the No New Friends podcast. We have a very steep mountain to climb, like Scott has said, but anything's possible. And we'd love it just to be nominated amongst the other podcasts is an awesome feat. But listen, if we could win this thing, that would be awesome. I'll fly down to Florida. I'll do it. I'll book through Sandpiper and I'll fly down to Florida.
Yes.
Nick will be there too. So if you want to do a meetup, No New Friends meetup, vote for us. We'll do a meetup. Anyway, we talked about nice, tasteful things. Now let's talk about arrogant, distasteful things. I want to talk a little bit about what a moon cricket is, Scott. Don't want to lead with what we're talking about. I want to talk about what is a moon cricket. So, Scott, I think you know what a moon cricket is. Nick, do you know what a moon cricket is?
I honestly have no idea.
Good. Moon cricket is a horrible term. It's a racist term. And the only reason I'm saying it is in a historical and unfortunately, I don't even know how to say, like a term that's used loosely in Florida. Moon cricket as defined by Urban Dictionary, because the Webster's isn't going to define this. Urban Dictionary defines it as a derogatory term for colored people, basically the same as saying the N-word. And moon cricket. So I think that the term moon cricket, unfortunately, is derived from slaves singing at night. Scott, can you correct me on that? Do you know that? I'm pretty sure that's what it means, though.
If you got it from the internet, then you Google better than I do. I'm not sure the exact definition of moon cricket.
I did just find it.
Yeah, other than it is an offensive term towards slaves.
So I do want to give the backstory and the history on this term so you can know how distasteful the establishment that uses it is, because I do want to tell you exactly what it means. So I think that's important for the context of what we're talking about. So what is a moon cricket? So on mooncricketfilms.com, I don't know if there's any more reputable of a topic than mooncricketfilms.com. In the history, it is said that moon cricket was a name towards blacks in the slave days because as runaway slaves, they used the moonlight to guide them through the night for their freedom. Just enough light from the moonlight and the dark enough to hide. Also, the real meaning of moon cricket was what the slaves were called when they would sing and dance under the moonlight after a long day of working for their master. So moon cricket is obviously derived from something very, very racist and very problematic. Moon cricket is not a compliment. Moon cricket is not a nice term. Nonetheless, a restaurant in Winter Garden is named the Moon Cricket Grill. The Moon Cricket Grill. And they did something heinous recently. And I'll tell you what, when I saw it, their advertisement on Facebook that they were advertising that please come in and buy Bud Light for 49 cents. You can drink it, you can dump it, you can do whatever you want. I'm thinking, wow, what a genius marketing ploy. Because you have these dumb racists that are going to, or not racist, but what's a derogatory term for people who don't like gay people? Just idiots.
Homophobe.
Homophobes.
Idiots. Yeah.
Homophobes.
Idiots.
Okay.
There you go.
So you have these dumb homophobes that are going to be paying this bar, right, to get rid of their probably Bud Light that's gone bad by now because it's not being bought, right? So as a business person, as a business owner, I'm thinking, wow, this is a very smart business move on this bar's behalf by getting rid of this Bud Light. So whoever wants it, you like Bud Light, here you go. It's 49 cents. You hate Bud Light for what what propaganda or whatever you claim they're spreading is, then hey, you're still buying it from me and dumping it down the drain. So you're the idiot for buying it off me and making money. So that's what someone who is a straight male from New Jersey is looking at this as, right? 49 cents for a beer. This bar is looking to salvage their funds. Unfortunately, they have to tap on the shoulders of homophobes to be able to get rid of this beer.
Let me interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
Because someone showed me this advertisement and said, "Isn't this disgusting?" And all I saw was the advertisement, and we'll get into why it's disgusting.
And you as a Bud Light lover is like, no, it's delicious. It's a delicious advertisement. Right. What are you talking about disgusting?
I said, well, that's right down the street from. First of all, I did not know what moon cricket meant, and I'm seeing this is right down the street from my house. They're doing a promotion for Bud Lights, and the way that I saw it was, okay, 49 cents. So let's honor the Pulse victims, and we're gonna pour one out for the homies. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking, why would anybody who is boycotting Bud Light want to sell Bud Light? Because regardless of what you sell it for, the beer Bud Light gets the money.
Bud Light already got their money.
Sure, right.
Bud Light gets the money. Yeah, they already got their money.
They already got their money. Correct.
And now they're going to continue to get money because now you've sold through that, and now you're going to need some more.
So, yeah, and Scott, totally agree with you. And someone so detached from the Pulse massacre tragedy, however you want to describe it, and someone who is in business and someone who had no idea what moon cricket meant would think, yeah, this is a great business move. Right? You have these homophobes coming in, buying beer that they're supposed to be boycotting, pouring it down the drain. Right? That's how I'm looking at it. You're looking at it in a totally different light. Buying Bud Light, pouring one out for the homies. Correct, right? You pour one out. That's a term. You pour one out for someone who has died. You pour one out. That's a term, right? Then you take a step back from the situation, right? Take off the business person cap. Take off the cap of any tasteful person. And you start to look at this advertisement. for the Moon Cricket Grill, right? Take a step back from the advertisement for the Moon Cricket Grill. Look at the Moon Cricket Grill. I don't feel bad saying Moon Cricket Grill because that's the name. I feel bad saying the term Moon Cricket because I'm looking at this saying it's the like almost the equivalent of saying the N-word. But I do want to pound this name into this podcast just to show how horrible and distasteful this establishment is just for even naming themselves that name. This is the Moon Cricket Grill. They did not come up with the term. It sounds like a charming term, right, Scott? Right, Nick? Moon Cricket sounds like a Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like a fun, goofy name.
Yeah. You would never know. Moon Cricket Grill sounds like somewhere I'd take my my wife on for a nice date. Let's go to the Moon Cricket Grill, right? Sounds charming. No. Google Moon Cricket. There's literally nothing charming about it. The name is founded in racism, and the people that named this restaurant knew that. You don't name it. This is according to the definition. This is the equivalent to naming your restaurant the N-word Grill.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Think about that for a second. Now I'm going to kick this the rest of this segment over to Scott, who's near this establishment, and Nick, who can kind of comment more on why they're charging 49 cents for this. But like me as a business person from New Jersey thinking 49 cents, it's half of $1, right? Now that 49 cents is rooted, that number is rooted in something that I can't even believe. So Scott, please describe this ad and why they're doing this.
So as I started looking into it a little bit more, and it started to start trending on social media, I realized that my interpretation of the ad was not correct at all.
Right.
In fact, I've got it shown on the screen right now on Twitch at the bottom, it says, "Don't even call it Woke Wednesday." And then it's disgusting. It's even worse than it's even worse than the name of the bar, the Moon Cricket Lounge, because 49 is the number of people killed at the Pulse Nightclub. 49. So this was done intentionally to mock and ridicule people that lost their lives on that horrible, horrible evening. And it's absolutely, it's disgusting. I mean, it hits home here, obviously, just from a human nature, because I just have a love for people. But it hits home because this is a club in my town. Pulse is a club here in Orlando. It's 25 minutes away from me. When I would go to have lunch with my wife when she worked at her previous job, I passed it every single day, past the memorial every single day. I've got friends, I've got family that could have been there that night. And we'll kind of get to that as I kind of go through the events of that evening and the next day. But that was a very, very scary time here in Orlando, whether you were gay, straight, we knew people that went there. We knew people. I mean, Rachel, my wife, had been there at times, and it hit home. And, a lot of times when we see mass shootings, and this is not what this episode is not about mass shooting and gun control. It doesn't we feel sad. We recognize how horrible it is, but as the news goes away, so does our, Sandy Hook, for example, a terrible tragedy, but it's just kind of one of those other things that we see in the news. Pulse is something that doesn't go away for me. I don't have PTSD or anything. That's not where it is, but reliving in my head the events that occurred. And Chris, if you're ready, I'll kind of take you through the 12 hours leading up to Pulse and then the 48 hours after Pulse.
Yeah, so I do want to.
that.
Yeah, in a second, I do want to touch on that. Just 1 minute buffer here. I'm very conservative when it comes to business. Like I said, I own my own business, right? And I'm a firm believer in if you don't like what the business practices, just go to another business. Well, this is like one of those rare occasions where, my opinion, this place should just be shut down. Like this is like that almost. I mean, that feels like a hate crime to me. That doesn't even feel like a marketing
100%.
It doesn't even. It doesn't feel like we're not selling to you because we don't believe in your religion or whatever it may be. This feels like a hate crime. How much you buy a bottle of Bud Light or a draft of Bud Light at a bar? I think on a special you might be able to get it from $3 to $5, right? So maybe you do 50% off, which would take you down to $1.50, $2.50, right? If you really want to be cute, you say 50 cents. You do dollar drafts, right? Picking the number 49 is the most grotesque, disgusting things that I've seen in a very long time. 49 is a random number unless it was meant for a malicious purpose, which I have no doubt that it was, because 50 cents is a great price for a Bud Light. Why pick 49? And that's what gets me, and that's where I kind of draw the line. And like, listen, like I said, I own my own business, and I have very conservative views on businesses. But this goes beyond that. This is not. I don't even know if I'd categorize this as a borderline hate crime. This I think could be tried in a court as a hate crime. 49. Why pick the number 49 other than something that is going on in your own backyard? That's the thing, beer Chris, that you're advertising is
the crazy thing to me
against.
Yeah, is okay. It's already bad enough if it happens in small podunk town, Kentucky or Georgia or Idaho, whatever. Like it's still not okay, but it's like
right.
That's one thing. But to do it here in Winter Garden, which is literally 20 minutes away from Orlando, like Winter Garden is a outskirt city of Orlando. To do that here, it's like, do you not remember how scary that was? When
if that's not a hate crime, I don't know what would be, Scott. Yeah. Like I just don't know. What are we? I'm borderline hate crime. I'm borderline speechless because it's like it's. Before we move on, Scott, I really want to get your insight on what it was like to be a local. Scott, do you know off the top of your head when the Pulse night shooting was? Do you know what year that was?
Yeah, June 12th, 2016.
Okay. So this is the
7th. This will be the 7th anniversary.
7th anniversary of it. The anniversary of this tragedy is coming up. So obviously it's a horrible time for you being a local, but horrible time for people of the LGBTQ plus community too. So I kind of do want to, before we go into the timeline of what happened that night, Nick, when you see a advertisement like this one, I'm a straight person and it makes me want to throw up. When you see this, are you just like, what are the emotions going through your head when you see something like this?
So when he first sent it to me, I didn't fully understand it either because I didn't know the history behind the bar, and
because we're normal people.
It's like I didn't know the history of the bar. I didn't recognize that term or the name of the bar. And once we dug deeper into it, I was pissed. Like, first off, to throw a drink down the drain, and.
Yeah, let's be pissed about that first. Pouring a drink down the drain. I mean, that's like a party foul. The kids would call
exactly.
it.
I'm like, I worked in the beer industry for a long time, and like when the gay community protested Coors Light, they didn't charge for you to throw the beer down the street or in the streets. They were just going out beer and tossing it down. to get rid of it. And
Right.
they got rid of Coors Light for 30, 40 years. So the fact that they picked the number and that number was very random. I worked in the bar industry too. Bars don't charge anything that has to do with a penny. It's either ends in a 5 or a 0. Like you're not going to give out pennies as change. So that number was it stood out definitely. And once we kind of dug deeper into it, that's gross.
Yeah, no doubt that it was intentional. No doubt that this was intentional. And like I said, someone like me from New Jersey would never know that, and outside of the gay community would never know that 49 was an important number.
And that's the thing
is
it's
shut down. I hope it goes out of business. There's nothing else for me to say.
It's hard to expect someone from New Jersey. I mean, if you ask me how many people were killed in the Las Vegas shooting, I can't tell you that.
No, sure, right.
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you how many deaths there were at Sandy Hook. I can't tell you that. But I will always remember how many people lost their lives at Pulse.
Now, Scott.
So yeah.
This date was June what? I'm sorry.
June 12th, 2016.
June 12th, 2016. Take me through your day, that day, being, like you said, 25 minutes away from this heinous act where it took place. How did you get the news? How did it affect you? Please elaborate. Anything you feel comfortable saying.
Yeah. So as I kind of tell this story, it's going to be chilling. And this is why, one, I'm so sensitive about it because it hits home. And obviously my love for the LGBTQ community and how they were targeted in this, that's why this is, it's a hot topic with me. It's something that, but so I have to back up to one day prior, June 10th, 2016. And there was another club here in Orlando. It was like the Plaza Theater, and there was a singer performing there who was a contestant on The Voice, Christina Grimmie, and she was tragically murdered, like on stage, like she was like killed on stage, or right after the concert. I don't know exactly. This is what's crazy about this story is that was the headline. That was the headline the day before, and I remember going to sleep on the evening of June 11th. And again, Christina Grimmie happened June 10th. So that news broke on the morning of June 11th. Okay. So June 11th, Christina Grimmie. Mm-hmm. And I remember I hadn't yet moved in with Rachel yet. So Rachel and I were still dating. She had come over for the weekend. And she would come over on Friday. Saturday morning, she would have to go and walk her dog. And then we would get into the events of the day. So June 11th, I went to sleep on it was a normal Friday, and I woke up Saturday, and it was really weird, Chris. My phone had showed something on it that I'd never seen before. And
what's that?
It was a name of a Facebook friend, marked safe. This is something that had not been activated by Facebook ever until June 12th, 2016. It was a feature that they had built in, but it had never been used. And then I'm getting another notification. Someone marked safe. Someone marked safe. Someone marked safe. And then I open up Facebook and they're like, would you like to mark yourself safe? Yeah, I guess. And I didn't understand. I said, I don't understand what's going on. This was an isolated.
I'm safe.
One person was shot at a nightclub. One person was shot at a nightclub. They already got the person.
I see. Right.
What? I don't understand what's happening. And it was one of those things like when Chris, you're a lot younger, so probably like September 11th would be your first memory of like something major happening and
tragedy, right?
Yeah, and you're getting news in real time and all that. So I had no idea what was going on, and my wife calls me because she's on her way back from walking the dog, and she goes, "Did you hear?" And I said, "No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I know that this girl was shot at the Plaza nightclub. I'm being marked safe or whatever." And she said, "No, there was a mass shooting downtown Orlando at the Pulse Nightclub. And that's, of course, when I start looking at Facebook, and it was horrifying, because now this is in my backyard.
Yeah.
This is somewhere that I've driven by. This is somewhere that I've been.
You almost feel betrayed. You almost feel like offended, like this happened at your home.
It was almost like my innocence was taken away from me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I know that's like super silly and super like, I don't know. It's super,
no, that's your home. Yeah. That's your home.
Yeah,
and someone came into your home and did something horrible.
Yeah. And then when I didn't know what Pulse was at the time. I didn't know what Pulse Nightclub was.
Right.
I had heard of Southern Nights and the Parliament House. Those were the two big gay clubs here in Orlando. I didn't know Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out, it was just, it was one thing that there was a shooting at a nightclub here in Orlando, a mass shooting. But then when I found out it was at a gay club, it was like 10 times worse for me. Because I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, just the members of the LGBTQ plus community, they just want to love. They just want to be themselves and party the way they want to, love the way they want to, feel comfortable the way they want to. And this was Latin night at Pulse. And here this happens. And, you know, the first 24 to 48 hours were really, really scary. And
Scott,
luckily,
I don't want to cut you off here, but I do want to cut you off because I do want to educate our listeners on what actually happened this night, because there might be some people who don't know what Pulse is, what Pulse Nightclub was, what happened that night. On June 12th, correct? It was June 12th, 2016. A gunman went into a gay nightclub and took the lives of 49 victims, 49 innocent people that went out trying to have a night out on the town, you know, just like anybody else. And that's what we're talking about here. I don't want any of your points to be lesser because somebody doesn't know what you're talking about. Please go on.
The first 24 to 48 hours afterwards was just really scary and really odd, and nothing that I had ever experienced. I don't know. Have you guys ever gone through like a hurricane or a tornado through your town or anything like that? I don't know, being New Jersey, Ohio.
Tornado watches and sure.
So after a hurricane here, it's very difficult to. It's different now because cell phone towers are so much more technologically advanced. But I remember 2004 after Hurricane Charlie, it was impossible to get a hold of someone. On September 11th, it was impossiple to get a hold of someone on the phone.
I know. Yeah. Yep. The cell towers are overloaded and you can't, you can't get through.
Yeah. June 12th, it was impossible to get people on the phone. And what was really scary about that is not everybody jumped on Facebook all the time and was able to mark themselves safe. Because maybe they didn't have a Facebook.
Yeah. Very different time than 2023.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't have a Facebook. Maybe they just didn't go on it very often. So there were people that were unaccounted for. People that we knew, people that worked for me knew. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was like it was after a hurricane where we had to handle that, where we're like, you know, if employees lose power during the hurricane, or there's a tree on their car, like we have to be sensitive towards that and it was the same thing. They're like, hey, I haven't heard from my friend in 2 days. They're Spanish and gay, and I don't know if they were there. And that's all the radio stations. That's all you heard was just one trying to, you know, provide some comfort and just an outlet to talk. But also it's like, hey, I am looking for so-and-so, trying to make connections. So, and I mean, you see it on the news, they would release, you know, the names of people that survived because there were people in hospitals that couldn't check in on Facebook that were a Pulse. So you're a family, you're a family member of someone that you knew was at Pulse, but you have no idea. It was a difficult, there was a lot of crisscross of information. It was awful. And I remember as pictures started coming out, there's two faces, and God, I forget the one woman's name. She was not gay, but she went to Pulse with her son who was gay, and she was killed. And the other one was Louis Velma, who worked at Universal Studios. He was a ride attendant at the Forbidden Journey, and so now like my Universal family is affected.
Yeah,
you know, I mean they shut the ride down that day. One of the most popular attractions at Universal just shut down that day.
Wow.
It was just awful. Now, with great tragedy, and I think Mr. Rogers said, you know, when there's tragedy, you always look at the people in the uniforms. They're the ones helping people and all that. It did unify our community for a time.
Yeah, like all tragedies do. Yeah,
right. You know, after the Boston Marathon, you got Boston Strong. You know, for us, it was Orlando Strong, and we saw rainbow colors all across the country, just honoring Pulse. So there was a lot of you know, they at Orlando City soccer games, they had 49 seats that the whole section was rainbow color, and they kept that section empty for the entire season. So it's just so to bring bring this back to the whole point of this episode, how disgusting it is that this restaurant, this bar has done this, because I just painted a picture of someone who was, I mean, close to it, but I wasn't as close to it as others, not nearly as close to it as others. You know, I'm in this happened in 2016, so I'm in my mid to late 30s at the time. I'm not going to nightclubs, but there, you know, there are people that were a lot closer to this situation, and just the horror and the chilling details that I just provided. People had it so much worse, and for a grill in Orlando to do this is just anywhere. Let me get that.
Right.
Let me get that very, very straight. Anywhere is disgusting, but especially here in Orlando. It's just fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
I cannot. It's like, if you want to do things to push the envelope to get attention, I get it. We do things to
make it 50
get attention.
Cents. Make it 50
make it 50 cents. If you want to really, you know, get rid of your Bud Light and all that. Like, that's the thing is
50 cents.
You want to boycott Bud Light? Fucking go for it. It's stupid and you're a fucking idiot. But if you want to you have every right to boycott a product. You have every 100%. Right to do it.
Make it 50 cents though. Don't make it 49 cents. There's no reason.
There's no reason unless you're trying to do this.
Just speaking on behalf of all rational people, I think we could say is that, you know, all rational thinking people, everything you said, I just totally agree with. Scott, I appreciate you giving us insight on how it was how the Pulse Nightclub tragedy affected your community, being right outside, right in your backyard.
I didn't interrupt 6. I was like just taking it all in.
Same here, Nick, and I appreciate everything you shared, Scott. Next segment, I want to dive into how this affected the gay community. I also want to dive into how it didn't affect my community at all, and I want to kind of talk about why that's not okay. And I feel comfortable enough to talk about how, like, elaborate on that, and I think that's super important. So when we come back from break, we're going to dive into both those things. So please stay tuned, and this is a very important episode. You're listening to No New Friends After Dark. We'll be right back.
Feel my pulse with your hand on my heart. You know it beats just as hard as yours. Feel my pulse. Oh, feel my pulse. Can't you see that I'm scarred? I'm just the same as you are. So just feel my pulse. Oh, I wish I could reach them. Strip away what separates. It's the same air we're breathing. run down her face. So I don't have to leave where I stand, and I don't have to change who I am to count as a human. Feel my pulse with your hand on my heart. You know it beats just as hard as yours. Feel my pulse. Feel my pulse. Can't you see that I'm scarred? I'm just the same as you are. So just feel my pulse. With your hand on my heart, you know it beats just as hard as yours. Feel my pulse. Feel my pulse. Can't you see that I'm scarred? I'm just the same as you are. So just feel my pulse. See that we're human. Feel my pulse. See that we're human.
If you're still listening, thank you. If you're not, I don't know. Probably voting for DeSantis this fall, next fall. No, we'll probably cut that.
No, why? I don't
know. I liked it. I don't know.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Chris. Yes, this is a serious episode, and it deserves respect. But we're never going to stop making jokes, but we know who to target the jokes at.
Yeah. I feel DeSantis might be a minority owner. Well, actually, he wouldn't never consider himself a minority. He might be an owner of the Moon Cricket Grill. He might be in that.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Before we go on to Nick's perspective of the Pulse nightclub shooting and the aftermath and everything came to follow. First of all, Scott, thank you for sharing your story. But is there anything else you would like to add to what you all had already said before we get?
Yeah, one more thing about it hitting home. At the time, it was the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. Until I believe Vegas knocked Pulse off. But that was the first moment for me. My now 17-year-old, so she's 10 at the time. I remember was just crying, and I was trying to understand what was going on in her head, and it was the first moment that I realized that our children no longer feel safe, just wherever they are, because she didn't understand that, and I'm not even going to name the shooter's name because it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's something we won't do on this podcast.
Yeah, she didn't know that he was gunned down by police that night. She's thinking, "Oh my gosh, are we safe here?" Because what she's seeing is this is a shooting that occurred in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And, she didn't understand everything. So it goes to that transitions to a whole nother issue that I don't want to tackle tonight. At some point, maybe we will. I don't know.
Maybe, sure.
But it was just kind of like the last straw of what really hit home on this. And it was like that was the moment where my daughter's innocence was kind of taken from her a little bit.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's hard to watch as a father.
Yeah, it is. And it's not something I necessarily really understood. And now our kids are doing active shooter drills in school, and they have a song about it and all that, which is terrible. But I thank you for. I know that when I mentioned to you guys that I wanted to do a Pulse episode, I know that it doesn't necessarily resonate to someone in New Jersey, someone in Ohio as much as it does down here. So I appreciate you guys kind of letting me talk about it and recognizing how important it is to me here. And then 60% of our audience is from Orlando. So I know someone has a story from that night.
yeah, it's definitely one of those anniversaries that you don't celebrate, but that you acknowledge and educate about what happened that night. And I think you said it best. We're not going to say the name of the shooter. We never will on this podcast. We are never going to put someone on a pedestal that should never be, heard of again. I don't know their name, and I never care to. Maybe we will put the names of the victims in our description, just so that they are not forgotten. I think that might be a nice little thing to do. They should be honored. The shooter should not. Now that we've gotten past someone that it happened in your backyard, Scott, and it affected you in that way, I do want to talk about how your daughter, you said it took her innocence from her because you thought, is she not safe? When things like the Sandy Hook shooting happened, I was in high school at that time, right? And I felt unsafe being a school student, right? These maniacs, people who are unwell, people who are hateful, targeting schools was something that scared me. But when I graduated high school, that fear went away because I'm not a school student anymore. So there's no one targeting my group or my community. I'm just a person now. Nick, for you, with something like the Pulse night shooting, that never goes away. You don't graduate from being gay. You're gay. Like, you're just always part of that community. There's no hiding from it. There's no running from it. And like me being a school student, when I'm done school, it's over with. This is something that you are living with your whole life. So please give us your perspective of the Pulse night shooting and the aftermath and the ripples it sent through the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, and I know when we first kind of started talking about it, I really wanted to hear Scott's perspective living locally because I dealt with it as well too in Ohio. The entire LGBT plus community dealt with it nationwide, worldwide even.
Mm-hmm.
I remember waking up that Sunday morning and just scrolling through Facebook, and right away I saw a post commented about it, and another one, and I remember waking Sean up, and I'm like, something really bad happened, and I don't think we really knew at the time that it was targeted towards the gay community, but we assumed, just because it's not the first time we've been attacked and had hate crimes or multiple mass murders during this. So but
you mean you wake up to the deadliest mass shooting in American history? No one's waking up happy. Everyone's waking up scared and a little sad.
Yeah, so the whole world was just looking at it because it was the biggest one, and on top of it, it was at a gay bar where it could have been any gay bar. I go into at that time I was working in the gay bars, working for Miller Lite and Coors Light full time, so I was out probably 5 nights a week in the bars. And after that happened, my guard was up even more all the time. Anytime I heard even the slightest bang or heard a police siren, anything like that, there was some PTSD from it. So I think. Can
I ask you something about that, Nick, before you go on? You saying that it could have been any gay bar. Is that what kind of affected you the most? Did you kind of think like, realistically, why Orlando? This could have been me. This could have been in Ohio.
Yeah,
this could have been
at a couple of years prior to that. There was some gay hate crimes happening in the gay bars around Columbus. Not necessarily in the bars, but to the LGBT community here. We dealt with it locally with smaller things of getting mugged and stuff like that, and it's nothing new. Unfortunately, I feel like it's gotten a little bit better. There was a kid that was went vanishing from one of our bars. The biggest gay bar, the biggest bar in Ohio, the biggest volume of liquor bar. A kid vanished, and they found him in a river months later. Still never found out what happened. So there's always scary things that are happening, and you kind of don't think about it too much in the moment unless you maybe know somebody. I didn't know anybody in Pulse, but I knew a lot of my drag queen friends that have performed there. I knew people that vacation to Florida all the time that have been there. So here, people, and it was basically like a 2 degrees of separation for us. Like we knew somebody that has been there. So it definitely hit the community hard. Like I said, nationwide, not just in Florida. For us, and waking up that morning, it was a Sunday morning. That was the very first day of our Pride Week in Columbus. So it kind of put a little bit damper on the community, but also lifted us up to want to show the reason of why we have Pride. It's not just for glitters and rainbows and to celebrate and slap our sticker on something. We're out there marching and showing that we're people. We're humans. We love everybody. So that Pride Festival security was definitely ramped up. There was a lot of threats around the country. Luckily, nothing happened, but it was probably one of the best prides because you saw so much love and support for everybody, and just so many people hugging each other, and just knowing that we teamed up. It wasn't just like Scott said, the Orlando community came together, the gay community came together nationwide.
First of all, sorry that you ever had to feel unsafe just being who you are. There's been a lot of mass shootings in American history. We had like Scott had mentioned before, the Las Vegas shooting was at a country concert. We had the Aurora shooting in Colorado during the Dark Knight viewing, right? We had the Sandy Hook shooting. We had mall shootings. Listen, with the Aurora shooting with the Dark Knight, was I nervous going into movie theaters? Sure. Yeah, it was a little eerie, right? For a little bit. Sandy Hook, again, like I said, I graduated. I don't have to worry about that anymore. There's shootings in malls. There's shootings at a country concert, sure. But I don't identify as a country music concert goer, right? I don't identify as someone that goes to the movies. I don't identify as a school student. I don't identify as someone who goes to the mall. There was that shooting in one of the Carolinas. Forgive me for forgetting if it was north or south, but there was a shooting at a predominantly black church. I don't identify as an African American. I don't identify as any of these things. And as a moviegoer, as a school student, as someone who goes to the mall, I identify as that person for 45 minutes once every 6 months, right? It's not something I have to wake up in the morning and say, I'm a moviegoer. It's not someone I wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm a mall goer. It's not something I have to wear on my sleeve and be afraid every day that someone's going to target me for liking to go to the movies, or for liking to go to the mall, or for at one point being a school student. As a member of the gay community, you wear that on your sleeve, and you go places knowing that there's people out there that hate you because of who you love. And to my core, that pisses me off so much, and more so now than it ever did before, because of these conversations that we've had, the three of us. What I did want to talk about with the Pulse night shooting is this did not affect me at all. Full disclosure. The Pulse nightclub shooting did not affect me at all. I am a straight white male living in New Jersey. Why would I be afraid to go anywhere? Seriously, why would I be afraid to go anywhere? Was I sad that it happened? Sure. But I'm sad about a lot of things, right? And I don't go upon my day being afraid of things that I'm sad of. It did not affect me because I didn't understand. I didn't understand how it made other people feel. I didn't understand a massacre happening in my backyard like Scott. I did not understand a massacre happening to people of my own community like Nick. I don't have people in my own community. I don't have that. I'm a straight white male. Well, I don't identify as that. That's just what I am, right? When I take the SATs, when I took the SATs, I wrote straight Caucasian. I don't categorize myself as anything other than that. I don't identify with that. I'm just an American. I'm just a person. When the Pulse Nightclub shooting happened, it was a very sad time. And I acknowledge that, but it didn't affect me. And I think that's part of the problem, is that it didn't affect me. And knowing what Scott went through, knowing what Nick went through, it does affect me now. We did have to take a little break. I was getting a little emotional. I was getting very angry. Not only at what happened, but at myself. Because when that happened, I didn't feel the same emotions I felt now. And I'm sorry for that. Because if you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community, something like that happens where you're targeted, that's directly at you. It's directly at your family. That's directly at your community. Being myself, like I said, a straight white male, it's not directed at me, but it's directed at my friend Nick. And it's directed at someone that I care deeply about, and it's directed at their community. And that affects me. And I don't think it's enough just to call yourself an ally because you believe in equality. I think you do need to learn about the history, learn about the struggles, and learn about the hardships that members of the LGBTQ plus community. Because listen, wearing the rainbows is cute and all, because I do it too. But you don't fully understand until you force yourself to understand.
Yeah, and I think we kind of started talking about that. That's what I love where this podcast is going, is we're listening to each other and listening to our struggles. And
100%.
And I think for you guys having this, and I've said it multiple times, for you giving me this platform, you're showing me that you're being an ally. We're not just talking about it one time and calling it a day. You're wanting to dig deeper and find out more and more. And it means a lot to me, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of the whole LGBT plus community. Thank you for allowing this topic, all of these topics, to be shared.
That really means a lot, because I always categorize myself as an ally, and Scott, I'm sure you did too, because you like gay people. You don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Chris,
you love whoever you want to love.
And we've talked about this a couple times.
Yeah,
I did, but then it wasn't until we really started to dig deep into this, and this podcast, this episode of the week, completely morphed into something different than what we intended it for, something better than what we intended it for. And it wasn't until we started getting into these conversations where I was like, wait a second, I don't think I was an ally before. Not that I was against, not that I was against, but I was an acceptor. But it didn't affect my life.
Right. Yeah. But what were you doing?
Exactly. What was I doing about it? Besides wearing, some cute colors, besides having a gay friend, it's kind of like, I heard the term, especially in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement, I heard the word anti-racist a lot. And what does it mean to be an anti-racist? Well, you're doing something about it. You're doing something about racism. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you're not an anti-racist, you're a racist. It's just, it's kind of like being an ally to anyway. So what I'm saying is obviously I was for gay rights. I didn't consider ourselves, now looking back, we were supporters. I don't know that we were allies. And I think we still have a long way to go.
Said.
I think we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
I'm not satisfied with where I am right now in my ally journey.
I'm very happy with where you guys are with it. This isn't the first, it's not the third. We've talked about it in multiple episodes, so you guys are way ahead of many others. So
now I want to impact change. Now it's not. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. That means so much coming from you. But just talking about it every week is not enough anymore for me. Now I want to do something about it. And
it's important to me because it's important to Nick. You know what I mean? Because we don't experience the struggles that he does, and we're realizing that now, right? And we love Nick, and if we can help him and his community by any means, then we're gonna try our damnedest to do so, right, Scott?
Yep.
I'm sorry for rambling on, but there's a lot of emotions that have been going through me tonight during this recording. This Pulse night shooting, like I said, when it happened, it didn't affect me at all. Hearing it tonight affected me a lot. Having a very good friend of the LGBTQ plus community, and just having a friend that happened in their backyard. It feels disrespectful when something like that happens. Someone, someone coming into your own backyard and doing something heinous and horrible out of hate. I do also think that we have a long way to go. And this is a great start. I'll tell you what. I don't know if what we did was great, but I know that this start is great. I think we have a lot of room to keep going. But I'm really proud of what we've been doing. And if this podcast every week was about gay rights and gay struggles and members of the LGBTQ plus community, I can sleep at night knowing that I contributed just maybe a hair towards moving the needle in the right direction. And I'm happy to be in the presence of you, Scott, and you, Nick, every week talking about this stuff. I'm happy to be in the presence of all our listeners and all the people chiming in on Twitch. This is honestly on a weekly basis the highlight of my week, talking about these hard issues, and I can't really name many things that I'm more prouder of than pushing this positivity.
Yeah, and I want to talk briefly too, real quick, about, so Sophisticated Gentleman just posted in the chat about how the Gen Z generation kind of is with the LGBT community, and that they're essentially combined. So what I've seen over the years working in the alcohol and bar industry is there was, when I was in my 20s, we had gay bars, and the gay community didn't really go out much to the campus bars when I was younger, the bars for my age range, essentially. But now you see the campus bars having Pride shirts available, celebrating Pride Month and everything. And just seeing that change over the years is truly amazing. What sucks is a place like Pulse, a place like Union here in Columbus and Axis were my safe spaces. And somebody came in and interrupted our safe space is the shitty part. We had an event a couple of months ago at a brewery here in Columbus where there was a drag queen doing a show, and there was Nazis out there protesting against it. And unfortunately, it wasn't a safe space for us at that bar. So, so they were out there protesting. I don't know why they were at a brewery protesting, but it's just, a lot of people don't understand why we had the gay bars. And like I said, it's our place that we feel comfortable, where we know we're going to be fine and we're going to be not the minority. So
yeah, and I think understanding that's really important, because not understanding that, you think, oh, the entitlement or this or that, and no, it's all trying to feel like the rest of everybody else, and that's what I'm slowly learning. Someone in chat just wrote, as a Gen X, I was a horrible person until my mid-20s. Now I feel like it doesn't matter to me who someone is, only what they have to go through. We all have struggles, but we all don't fear for our lives just walking down the street. And that's perfectly said. Who gives a shit who you love? Who gives a shit what you identify as? Everyone deserves the right to walk down the street and feel safe. Whether you're gay, whether you're black, whether you're whatever, everybody deserves that right. And we have a long way to go, but I'm happy for anyone listening to understand that a little bit more. That if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community, the No New Friends podcast stands with you. We support you. We love you. and just keep being you.
One thing that I kind of thought about too when Scott was talking is kind of what happened after Pulse and around the country. And like I said, our Pride got super supportive that week. Everybody was so amazing and so loving and supportive. I remember getting on Amazon trying to find a Pride flag, sold out. To have Amazon's completely sold out of something that you couldn't find anywhere.
That's pretty damn cool.
It was amazing. And just to see all the rainbows across everywhere was just, it was very showing that support no matter who it was. It was all about love.
That's amazing. And I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately. I have a business on a very busy road, and I want to order a little Pride flag to put in my window just so that anybody passing who might feel, insecure or whatever can see that and just know that we're a supporter. I think it's very, very important. And not only in the wake of a tragedy, but just in the wake of everyday hardships that you go through. Segment 3 tonight's going to be a little bit different than usual. We're going to substitute our segment 3, all the humor and all the funniness that we usually do with Scott's summaries, with a tribute to all of the fallen victims of the Pulse Nightclub shooting. Just want to end this second and essentially last segment by saying, love whoever the hell you want to love and be whoever the hell you want to be. As long as it's in love, we support you. On behalf of Nick and Scott, I'm Chris. This is the No New Friends podcast After Dark. We'll see you next week.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank you so much for listening to this entire episode. I know that it was a heavy one, and it's not exactly what everyone's used to with the comedy, but, we're hitting these important topics, and there's no way that being here in Orlando, we were going to skip talking about Pulse because, whether you're in New Jersey or Ohio, Orlando, gay, straight, it impacted all of us. And especially now with the relationships that we've built, it even impacts us more and more. So the way I want to end this episode is to read off the 49 names of the people that lost their lives in the Pulse nightclub shooting. I'm going to do the best that I can with all the pronunciations. I don't mean any disrespect by mispronouncing names, but it's important 7 years later that we remember the victims. We don't remember the shooter. We don't remember the hate. We remember the love, and we remember the people, because the people are what matters. Eddie Sotomaro, 34 years old. Stanley Almodovar III, 23 years old. Juan Ramon Guerrero, 22 years old. Luis Omar Ocasio Capo, 20 years old. Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera, 36 years old. Peter O. Gonzalez Cruz, 22 years old. Louis Velma, 22 years old. Kimberly Morris, 37 years old. Eddie Jamoldroy Justice, 30 years old. Daryl Ramon Burt II, 29 years old. Dionka Deidre Drayton, 32 years old. Alejandro Beros Martinez, 21 years old. Anthony Luis Lorendiza, 25 years old. Jean Carlos Mendez Perez, 35 years old. Frankie Jimmy De Jesus Velasquez, 50 years old. Amanda Alvear, 25 years old. Martin Benitez Torres, 33 years old. Louis Daniel Wilson Leon, 37 years old. Mercedes Marisol Flores, 26 years old. Xavier Emmanuel Serrano Rosado, 35 years old. Gilberto Ramon Silva Menendez, 25 years old. Simon Adrian Carrero Fernandez, 31 years old. Oscar A. Arcina Montero, 26 years old. Enrique El Rios, 25 years old. Miguel Angel Honorto, 30 years old. Javier Jorge Reyes, 40 years old. Joel Rayon Panagua, 32 years old. Jason Benjamin Josephat, 19 years old. Corey James Connell, 21 years old. Juan P. Rivera Velasquez, 37 years old. Luis Daniel Conde, 39 years old. Shane Evan Tomlinson, 33 years old. Juan Chavez Martinez, 25 years old. Gerald Arthur Wright, 31 years old. Leroy Valentin Fernandez, 25 years old. Tevin Eugene Crosby, 25 years old. Jonathan Antonio Camoy Veta, 34 years old. Jean C. Nieves Rodriguez, 27 years old. Rodolfo Ayala, 33 years old. Brenda Lee Marquez McCool, 49 years old. Yamare Rodriguez Sullivan, 24 years old. Christopher Andrew Lee Nonan, 32 years old. Angel L. Candelario Padero, 28 years old. Frank Hernandez, 27 years old. Paul Terry Henry, 41 years old. Antonio Devon Brown, 29 years old. Christopher Joseph Sanfeliz, 24 years old. Akira Monet Murray, 18 years old. Geraldo A. Ortiz Jimenez, 25 years old. To the victims and their families, we will never forget. Pulse 2016. Thank you for listening.